Everybody, welcome back. Good morning. 3 OMG stories that you might have missed, including at least one story coming from Cincinnati. Really, I've got 5 stories. I've always got more than 3 because, well, you never know what's going to really connect with people, and there's so much to talk about. So many things are going on. This morning, to kick things off, I want to talk about a study that has been circulating about the school to prison pipeline. It's a case study that was done about Cincinnati public schools. And is this true? Allegedly, or apparently, what they found is that Black students in CPS are 5 times more likely to face exclusionary discipline than their white peers. Is that true? Black students in CPS, that's Black students in the Cincinnati public school system, are 5 times more likely to face exclusionary discipline than their white peers. Speaking of schools and Black students, Dr. Umar Johnson, that's his wheelhouse. And he most recently went on the Breakfast Club and did a very interesting interview in which he talked about the progress that he's making with his school, FDMG Academy. And he also chimed in on the Ma'Khia Bryant shooting as well, with some interesting and very controversial and perhaps polarizing statements that we just have to talk about. We got to talk about this, all right? So buckle up, everybody. It's the Nathan Ivey Show, the last honest place in Cincinnati media and your morning destination for interesting conversation. So I'll give you about maybe 90 seconds to 2 minutes to like and in particular share today's show. Please share this show wherever you think that people might be interested in these kind of conversations. If you support independent Black media, please give us a like and share this morning, and we'll get started very, very, very shortly. All right. As always, you can chime in at 513-873-7134 this morning. But remember, open your mind before you open your mouth. Again, I'll give you 90 seconds to 2 minutes to just like and in particular share today's show, and we'll get started. All right, good day, all. Happy Tuesday to you. Happy Tuesday. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, listen, I want to give you a heads up. We got a special guest that's going to be chiming in via Zoom this morning. And he is the host of a podcast called The Echo Chamber. And that podcast, we're teaming up to work together to help promote his podcast called The Echo Chamber. Her name is Christian. And some of y'all might be following him on Facebook already. He's Cincinnati based. He's going to chime in at about 8:30. We'll chop it up on some topics and give you a chance to get introduced to him. Let him talk about himself. Again, that's coming up at 8:30 a.m. this morning. So make sure you look for that. Along the way, we got a lot of ground to cover, family. Got a whole lot of ground to cover. I'm back with three more OMG stories that we must talk about this morning. And one of them comes from the city of Cincinnati, where some folks put together a study about the discipline patterns inside the Cincinnati public school system. And I just want to make sure that people are aware of it, that you are aware of it. I don't know, the methodology they use. I mean, you'll have to decide for yourself. I'm going to reach out to some of the people who are the authors of it to have them come on the show, because, who better to talk about it than the people behind it? So we can figure out whether the numbers that they're sharing are actually true and what that means. Is CPS aware of it? What is CPS doing? I mean, if you're a parent or a member of the community, then you should care very much about what happens with the Cincinnati public schools. Even if you don't have children, in the CPS system, if you live in Cincinnati, you should give a damn. It all matters. It all matters. We're just one big old melting pot, and we cannot turn our back on what's happening with our public school system here, because, as people say, the kids are the future. That's what we say all the time. It's the future. So what happens in those many school buildings matters to each and every one of us. It has an impact, and we must discuss it. We must get into it. Dr. Umar joined the conversation about Ma'Khia Bryant and her tragic shooting. And you might be surprised or may not be surprised by what he had to say. I got a quick video that I'll share with you, and we'll use that as a springboard to start a little conversation about it. We can't talk enough about it. It's in our backyard, and it could lead to police reforms. The governor of Ohio did national press over the weekend. He was talking about the Ma'Khia Bryant shooting and how it could lead to possible police reforms. And nothing can bring her back, and nothing would be better than something that could bring that girl back. But the next best thing is reforms that perhaps could either prevent it could happen from happening in the future, if that's the way it gets processed, or prevent another scenario from happening. Maybe it's not the same as that scenario as with Ma'Khia Bryant, but maybe someone's life can be saved in the future. If so, that's a great thing. How are you? Hope you're having a tremendous Tuesday. They're saying the weather's supposed to be great today, so expect people to have the shorts and the flip-flops on. College students have been wearing flip-flops already for months, so everybody else is going to be catching up today. They're saying the weather's going to hit about 82. The cicadas are around the corner, so enjoy the weather today. Enjoy being outside. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be a beautiful day. So if ever there was a day you wanted to get outside and get your exercise on, it would be today. So get out and have some fun. Maybe you got to work today, so you'll have your lunch outside today. You know what I'm saying? Enjoy yourself, whatever the case may be, and enjoy your Tuesday. Maybe you don't have time for all of that because you grinding, you building something, you're working. I get it, but you'll be doing it with a backdrop of 82-degree weather. So it's better. It's better. Maybe you got your 2 vaccination shots. You feeling better. You're going to meet your friends out for a little bit of wine and some drinks. Have some fun. Get out in the sun. Enjoy it. Maybe you're going to walk your dog past your own yard. Your lazy ass dog owners out there. You actually walk your dog today. Yeah, get out there and actually walk your dog with your lazy ass. Yes. It's a beautiful day. I hate lazy dog owners. I hate people that have dogs and they're too damn lazy to walk their dogs. I don't like none of y'all. I'm just go ahead and put you like that. I don't like you. You shouldn't even have a dog. If you live in an apartment and you own a dog, you don't really care about dogs. I'm going to put it like that. Because if you really cared about dogs, you would be disciplined enough and care enough to wait until you had enough land where you could actually, offer the dog what it needs. But I won't get all into that. I won't do it. I could easily do it, but I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. Have you seen this? This is quite interesting. This came across my radar screen over the weekend. We got to talk about it. We got to bring this up. This must be discussed. But some folks came together and they did a study on the patterns of discipline with CPS and what they are reporting. What they are reporting. I don't know if this is statistically true or not, but what they are reporting is that, hold on one second. What they are reporting exclusionary discipline than their white counterparts. Now, I've got two children, two black children in the CPS system. So that's something that definitely going to catch my ear. It's going to catch my attention. You see this right here? Have you seen this? This is circulating in a lot of Facebook groups right now. A case study of Cincinnati public schools. Is this true? Tell me this ain't true. Black students in CPS are 5 times more likely to face exclusionary discipline than their white peers. What? How could this be? Is that true? How is that? I guess these black students are just more wild. Y'all just got less discipline than your white counterparts. I guess that's what it is, right? Black students make up 62% of CPS, but they're 89% of in-school suspension, 78% of expulsions, 92% of out-of-school suspensions, and 88% of police referrals. And there's a debate going around right now in Cincinnati as to whether we should have and continue to have Cincinnati public or Cincinnati police officers serve as SRO, school resource officers, inside of the Cincinnati public schools. There are students and student groups who feel like all it does is further criminalize. They feel like all it really does is further criminalize students, that it doesn't really serve any real purpose beyond that. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. Now, is that true? I don't know. You tell me. You tell me. If you are a black person and you have a student or students that are children that are students in CPS, what's been your experience? Now, I want to get deeper. I'm going to reach out to the members of the author members of this group to have them come on and they can talk directly about this because they can speak far more intelligent than I can. But you talk about an OMG story. Now, I posted this in a Facebook group, and but my people just can be so themselves sometimes. So I posted this, and then somebody was like, "Oh, this is old news. This don't really matter." I'm like, "What? This is I don't give a damn if they do this study every year. Anytime you see something like this that relates to black students, it's newsworthy every single year. And if in fact this is true, I think there needs to be some explaining needs to be done on the behalf of CPS. Or maybe you feel as if statistically this is kind of like it makes sense because you got black students are 62% of CPS, so it makes sense that perhaps they're more likely to receive exclusionary discipline. And I think by exclusionary, it means like separated away from the classroom, which means you're in some cases interrupting the learning process. What has been your experience? I'm very, very interested. What's been your experience? I see Brother Christian is backstage. Okay, we'll get started a little bit early. Let me see here. Over 400 students negatively impacted with the justice system each year, 273 arrests. I don't know how people process this. Like some people might process that and say, well, some of these students need to be arrested. Some of these students be wilding out. We don't have time for that. They need to be arrested. And then some people might look at it and say, well, wait a minute, that seems like a rather large number. I'm sure there's another way we can deal with this. It's interesting. I shared this with my daughter. You know what she said? She said, I'm not surprised. And she's a CPS student. She's a 10th grader. That was her initial response. It kind of shocked me that she said that. I'll be honest with you. I was like, whoa, really? We need to talk. What happened? What don't daddy know about? Yeah, that was her response. Now, you know, I don't know why she's saying that. I didn't get a chance to delve a little deeper. I literally just mentioned it to her as we were about to start the show. It kind of shocked me. I'm like, damn. Interesting. I mean, who would know better than the students who have to deal with the discipline and the environments every single day? Like, I don't go to a CPS school every day, so I'm not there. She does. Okay. My CPS experience was a whole long time ago. And I used to wild out. You know what I'm saying? That was just me. But what do you think? Are you aware of this? What does that mean exactly? Is that true? If it's true, why? Are we talking about implicit bias? Are we talking about systemic racism? And if so, what can be done about it? Something tells me that nobody's surprised by that, and that's the saddest thing about it. Something tells me that nobody is surprised by this. Are you surprised by this? If we're not surprised, why is it that we accept this? That's quite interesting to me. But listen, as I told you, I got a brother named Christian who's coming on. He's doing a new podcast. Well, it's not really a new podcast. It'll be new for CDM. It's called The Echo Chamber. And I invited the brother on just to introduce him to you and talk about his podcast. We'll chop it up a little bit, maybe talk about Micaiah Bryant. He's backstage right now. I thought we was going to do it at 8:30, but she's backstage, so let's do it right now. So let me bring it on. With no further ado. Hey, what's up, brother?
What's going on, sir?
How you doing?
Listen, man, I didn't mean for you to rush your show, man. Like I was just back here chilling, man.
Oh, you just chilling?
Yeah, man. You can put me backstage if you want, man.
Nah, I don't want you to be backstage. I don't want you to be backstage
we're good.
like that.
We're good. We're good.
Yeah, you on now, man. How you doing,
good.
brother?
I'm doing good. Good morning to you, Mr. Ivy. Good morning, Choppers. I'm so blessed and honored to be here with you all this morning, and we're gonna chop it up a little bit here. I won't take up too much of the Nathan Ivy show, but I'm looking forward to joining the team, and we're gonna have a good time. So
we most definitely have a good time.
So looking forward to all of this. Yeah,
I love the way the stream is looking there. I love the background. Everything is looking real nice.
Well, thank you. Let me just say, so I got the degrees back there, and right back there, right behind my head, right in the middle there. My company, my DJ company, just recently won the Couples Choice Award from Wedding Wire, so that's what you see back there. Yeah,
that's dope. That's dope. Congrats.
So I gotta put it in the shot,
So. You got to put it in the shot. Absolutely. I see you got that Rode Pod mic right there. Okay.
Oh yeah. Great minds,
Yeah, looking official. I like it. Sound official. So again, Christian, tell people about yourself, man. Are you from the city of Cincinnati?
I am from the city of Cincinnati. Born and mostly raised here. I spent some time down in Georgia as a youngster, but mostly from here. Graduate of Kent State University, and I work in theater and I work in media. Currently, I'm with iHeart Media, which that will not be the case after this week. A lot of people, just to explain that, a lot of people are like, well, why would you, as a DJ and a media guy, leave iHeart? I've been there for just a little over a year, and the unfortunate thing is that I sort of came in on the ground level, like a lot of people do, and come to realize at the time that I got there, they laid off a lot.
You still there, brother? Seems like you're having a little bit of. There it is.
Okay. Am I back?
You back?
You
back.
Right. I don't know shit, but as I was saying, I'm leaving iHeart. People were asked, well, why would you do that? Being someone who works in media, it's the largest radio company in the world, but just coming in, I had this idea that I was going to move up the chain and kind of get into the positions that I wanted to be. So I kind of got my foot in the door with the company, and come to find out, as soon as I got there, they laid off a lot of people in those positions that you would think that you would want to get into. So there's literally nowhere to go. So my job as of right now with the company is I listen to commercials 10 hours out of the day, the stuff that everybody else skips over. Yeah, it's my job to listen to those for 10 hours out of the day to make sure that they're broadcast ready. I've got to listen for profanities, copyright issues, all types of audio issues and stuff like that. So that's basically my job and we have over 850 radio stations nationwide. So you can imagine what my life is like. Listening to commercials all day long. So
you like the quality control, basically.
Yeah, basically. That's what it is. So but I do think this is something that people should know about, because a lot of times people don't understand fully the stuff that happens behind the scenes, you know. So if anybody's like interested in getting into radio and production and all of that, there are more options than just simply, you know, being on air personalities and producers and stuff. There's a wide range of things that are happening behind the scenes if, you know, someone was looking to get into that. But yeah, so with that, this does give me an opportunity to focus more on the show, The Echo Chamber. And if you're not familiar with the term echo chamber, what that is, it deals in confirmation bias. Okay. Like if it's a term that you've never heard. So let's say, for example, if there's something that you believe in, let's say if you're a liberal or conservative, doesn't really matter. And you go out and you do a Google search or you talk to people about certain things in order to, you know, some people, they go into certain things thinking they're broadening their horizons, but we get our information from like-minded people, or we get our information from you know, the algorithm. You know, you get trapped in the algorithm, and while you think you're broadening your horizons, you're essentially getting more of the same information that you already believe, and it keeps on reflecting what you already believe. And that's what they call the echo chamber, just kind of getting trapped in your own confirmation bias, getting trapped in what you believe, and never being able to break that cycle, because everybody, that all your information sources think and believe exactly like you do. So that is the premise of the echo chamber. And for all of you who are interested in the show, right now it looks like we're going to be broadcasting on Monday until we can get on to a more Monday evenings, until we can get a better schedule there. You can follow me, Christian Boykin, on YouTube, or right here, just send me a friend request. I'll go ahead and get you added. So about the show, we are going to be doing everything that you love about the Nathan Ivy show, just a whole hell of a lot worse. So if you like lowbrow humor and so we're going to have a good time though. Some of you have known that I did do a show. It wasn't a streaming show with the video. It was an audio program. Few years ago, and he had a lot of guests. Kelly Prather was on a few times. Judge Alan Triggs. You know, we had Triggs on before he was actually a judge, and a lot of our candidates. We've had Bengals players. We've had Miami Dolphins players. Grammy Award winners, like all types of stuff happening in the show previously. So I'm so thrilled to be linking up with you, Mr. Ivy, to bring back this show, and to do it on this platform. You have built a wonderful platform here, and I'm so looking forward to spending some time with you and the Choppers and everybody else who is a part of this platform. You know, I see that I could not ask for a bunch, and bring what I was able to do in the past, and Borm. So I'm excited to be here. Did I say too much?
No, not at all, brother. I mean,
okay, all right,
man.
All right.
I keep telling people there's so many very talented, creative folks in Cincinnati. So the pleasure is all mine as we link up in a way that hopefully is mutually beneficial. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely.
And create something new, something new for us, something independent for the people. So I'm super thrilled to be teaming up with you, Christian. I really appreciate the opportunity. That's how I look at it, an opportunity to work with a creative like yourself. So I'm super dope. And that's funny, man, because I wasn't aware of the podcast, and then one day you challenged me. You was like, you was in the chop shop, like, hold up, homie, don't make no damn sense whatsoever. I
Okay.
think I was talking about marriage. I think it was marriage, and you're not married till you're married. You know, Mike,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
was ran about that.
You said it's not cheating if you're not married. That's what
You're
it
not
was.
right. It's not cheating if
And
you're not married.
and here's the thing. Like I was watching the show that morning. I was on my way to iHeart. I'm driving up 71, and I had made a comment saying you were basically wrong about your take on that, and you like paused the show for like a good 15 minutes and went in on me, and I'm driving and I'm like I can't respond back, and then I'm headed into the office and then I can't talk about it while I'm in the office. I was like, all right, so what Mr. Nathan Ivey doesn't know is that I'm equipped to respond. So I sat at work the entire day just itching like, man, I can't wait till I get home so I can go live and respond back to Mr. Ivey. And I did so. And I was like picking apart his argument. And next thing I know, I see Mr. Nathan Ivey in my comment section like, oh, brother, I'm here. I was like, oh, okay. Then I was like, let's jump on.
Let's jump on.
Let's jump on.
We chopped it up for about 30 minutes, man.
Yeah, man, it was a good show. And
it was a lot of fun.
That episode is on my YouTube page if y'all want to go back and check. It's just my name, Christian Boykin. It is there. So
I didn't budge you one bit. You was like, I don't know what you saying. I ain't trying to hear none of that nonsense, man.
Not at all.
I ain't want to fill out that, Nate.
Hey, man, but I was so glad that you blessed me that day, honestly, because I didn't think you. It was like Nathan Ivey, man. Like this guy's up here. There's no way he's gonna respond back to this. And then when I saw you in the comment section, like I'm here, I'm like, oh,
definitely, man. Then, like I said, came back the next day and bigged you up, shared the podcast, man. I'm all about, we all got to help each other in this digital media, man. So. It's room for everybody. Everybody got a voice. So Cincinnati based, a brother. Oh, you definitely got my support 100%. So I just wanted to do whatever little I could just to let my audience know about your podcast and what you was doing and big you up. Then I started thinking like, wait a minute. Damn, Wonder Twins link up, Super Friends link up, So I reached out to you and we, started the conversation. And so here we are now. So again, I'm very privileged to work with people like yourself. There's so many talented, intelligent, Black, creative folks out there that I'm working with and get a chance to know and meet. So the privilege is all mine. Trust me. Well, it's all on me.
I'm glad to be here. So I want to hold your show up. So what we're talking about today,
man, I got 3 OMG stories. So I'm kicking things off talking about this study that was done saying that Black students are 5 times more likely to receive exclusionary discipline. After that, I'm going to talk about Brother Umar Johnson, who recently went on the Breakfast Club, talked about a lot of stuff, including the shooting of Ma'Khia Bryant, which continues to be a hot story. Are you aware of that situation with Ma'Khia Bryant? And if so, what's your take on it?
I am. And first of all, there's no way around it. It's a very unfortunate situation. I do think, though, as wounded people, and by wounded people, I mean us, the Black community, I think we may have jumped the gun on this one. Honestly, I regardless how anybody feels, we know how the system works, and we know there's no way in my mind that I could possibly see that the officer, I don't know if I know his name, but to be found for this. I think I lost you.
Yeah, we still here. Yeah, your connections. Bear with us, folks. You know how this digital stuff is. It happens.
Yeah. You still got me here?
I still have you, but your image is frozen.
All right. Okay, so I just switched to hopefully a better Wi-Fi signal. So hopefully, am I here? Am I still frozen?
Yeah, you're not frozen, but you're very, very much like it's like very, very blurry.
Oh man,
but we can't see you in here. It's that Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it's the Wi-Fi, man. And, this is what happens when you live in a lead house. Yeah, so and that's part of the reason why I'm the way I am, because I eat the paint chips off of the windowsill. Uh, so that's what happens. So the Wi-Fi is all messed up. But hopefully you can still at least hear me. So that's
Yeah.
okay. So but it is an unfortunate situation, and and the officer involved will be found to have been justified in this. Um, personally, and I see it. I think people have this very Hollywood idea about how police procedure works. I've been I've read the comments in the Chop Shop and some other places, and people have this idea like, oh, he could have just shot in the air. No, that doesn't work. Shooting in the air does not stop somebody from doing something. Plus that's reckless and irresponsible too, because bullets come back down. So you don't know who you're going to hit. Uh, but it's unfortunate, but this young lady was getting ready to stab someone. And from the perspective of the officer just arriving on the scene, uh, he sees a woman. I know everybody says, "Oh, she was a child." She is not a child, and I think calling her a child is doing her a disservice, because what you're saying is that uh, at 16 years old, she doesn't know the difference between right and wrong. Okay, so I think anytime you say this was a child at 16 years old, she's 2 years away from adulthood. So she's our legal adulthood. Okay. So to call her a child at that age is basically saying that she didn't have the mental capacity to know what she was doing. And I don't think saying that does her any type of service at all. So from the perspective of the officer who is arriving on the scene, he sees a woman. She wasn't a child. She wasn't this young little thing that was running around with a knife. He sees what he sees. He only knows what he knows. And what he sees is a fight, and he yells, get down, although I don't know if I understand that command. I don't like, what does that mean? Yelling get down to people who are already on the ground. I don't understand that. But at the moment that he fires his weapon, she's got her arm back and she's getting ready to plunge. And people are, well, he could have shot to disarm. This is not Hollywood, folks. You think he was going to shoot the gun, to shoot the knife out of her hand? You're like, no, that's not how it works. And I've also seen where people have said, well, why did he have to shoot her so many times? Well, that's a simple answer too. Police officers are trained to shoot at center mass. Okay, it is the largest part of your body, and they're trained to kill. They don't pull out their guns then start shooting for play. Okay, they shoot to kill. But when you're firing for center mass, it takes more shots. Like if we were talking about Call of Duty, anybody play those video games, we know that the headshot takes you out instantly. But that's a small target and it's not guaranteed to hit. So they shoot for center mass, and shooting in center mass takes more shots. And it's just that simple. It was only 4 shots. And I say it was only 4 shots because then I have to ask the question, how many shots are too many? People say he shot too many times. Well, what is the right number of shots? What is the right number of shots? Is one too many? Two too many? I mean, like, but we can say, like, comparatively, I think it was brought up on the show before where you had that couple up in Cleveland where the officer, like, I
Hmm.
was like all these rounds, and then you had the officer jump up on the hood,
Hmm.
and I believe he emptied 2 clips into the windshield. That's excessive. And of course, he was found to be not guilty, not because they said he was wrong, but they said because there were so many officers shooting at the same time, they couldn't say whether or not it was his bullets that actually killed the couple. So, and that's how he ultimately gets off on that one. So, it's just it's an unfortunate thing, but you do have to, you have to look at what he saw when he arrived, and he saw that knife getting ready to go into somebody. He has no idea of the age of the people, none of that. You're not looking at a child when he rolls up. You're looking at a full grown woman. And it's unfortunate, but I'm telling you, this will be found to be justified. And I'm for one saying I don't blame him. I don't.
What type of topics can people expect for you to cover on the podcast?
Okay, so we are going to cover topics such as this, and I'm glad that we're talking about it now on your show because I've been debating on whether or not I want to keep hitting this subject. But we're going to talk about this and some of the shows that we have already done before joining with Sin Digital. We're going to be talking a lot about mental health. I did a interview with my sister here, who just retired from the Army. And was dealing with PTSD. You can find that on my YouTube page as well. And she actually, just really quick shout out to my sister. She makes this jewelry as part of her therapy. So for her PTSD and all that stuff. So go check that out. And also we cover we're going to be covering another show dealing with autism. Anybody that's dealing with autism or has a loved one that's dealing with that. Autism month is coming up, so we're going to be speaking on that as well. And also, we're going to here soon do a show about. Believe it or not, there are billions upon billions of unused scholarship and grant money for people to go to school on. We're going to have an expert on that field, someone who does. That's a lady by the name of Betty Richard. And she's employed with Cincinnati State, and that's her sort of field of expertise. We've got a cartoonist coming on the show, one of the few black cartoonists in the country. We're going to be talking with him. We're going to be talking with some of you may or may not know a guy by the name of Robert Harris. He's an artist here in the city. He's also a person with disabilities advocate, and he is actually the guy who was responsible for the ramping in Cincinnati. If you ever stood at a street corner, pretty much anywhere in Cincinnati, you will notice how the corners ramp down for wheelchair accessibility. He was part of that and had a lot to do. He's also on the Metro board, and he also has a lot to do with why our Metro buses now have wheelchair lifts and all that type of stuff. So we're going to be dealing with a lot of controversial subjects, and we're also going to be, like I said, as much helpful information as I possibly can get out there to the community. I want to do that as well, but I want to do it in the most fun and entertaining way. And like I said, sometimes we can be a little lowbrow. And we had a saying when we had our show a few years ago, and that saying was that we have no couth, and we don't. So it's going to get messy. It's going to get messy, but and we definitely want you all to be a part of the messiness that comes along with just life. Life is messy, and I don't think we should pretend like it's not. So let's get messy. We like to have our libations while we have our conversations, and they get messy. So yeah. So good morning.
All right, I'm looking forward to it. You said messy. I like messy.
Messy.
I like messy.
Super messy.
Messy media. I'm not mad at that. So that'll be on Mondays at what time approximately? We're going to kick it off here the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, so we're going to know for sure. We're going to confirm, but we're going to be looking at about 8 o'clock in the evening. We want to give people an opportunity to come home, from after their work day and, kick back and pour up their cocktail with us or their glass of wine or whatever you like to do, and, kind of unwind with some something that hopefully will feed your spirit, feed your soul, make you laugh a little bit, make you think a little bit. And hopefully by the end of the show, you will absolutely hate us, but but you'll come back though. So yeah, so,
I hate his ass, but okay, I got to tune in next Monday. That's funny. All right, well, Christian, listen, man, I appreciate your time this morning, man. And I'm super looking forward to it. And I know it's going to be super dope, man. And I'll let, of course, everybody in this audience will know first when you actually kick it off and when we start to team up. So the Echo Chamber, everybody. And that's a call-in show too.
It is a
right?
call-in show. Yep. So we're going to be doing that, and we actually like to bring people on to do the video as well. So just like we're doing this morning, as long as as long as you got your top covered, I don't care what you're doing underneath your desk, but we like to bring people on the show, and I like to look people in their eyes when I tell them that they're wrong.
That's the only way to do it.
Everybody's got an opinion, and chances are yours is wrong and mine is right, and that's just the way it is.
Right.
So yeah, I do want to invite everybody to check out the Echo Chamber right now. Like I said, it's going to be around Monday at 8 o'clock. We will confirm that for you in the next few days here. Go find my YouTube channel. It's just my name, Christian Boykin. So that's where you're going to find some of the past episodes. They'll be put up there if you happen to miss anything. And, check it out. It's going to be right here in the Sin Digital atmosphere. So I'm so grateful once again.
All right, brother. Listen, man, thank you for your time this morning. And I definitely will make sure everybody knows. And looking forward to it, brother Christian.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Take it easy. That's Christian Boykin, everybody. And his podcast is called The Echo Chamber. And you can see he's a character, man. He's like, he already told you you're wrong, but he wants you to come back. So that'll be on Mondays at about 8 p.m. approximately. Like you said, people get a chance to get home, get relaxed, get dinner. Then they get on their phones and start looking for, stuff to look at. Right. And you can check out his podcast, and we'll be streaming it on our Facebook page, and it'll be available on his network as well. So looking forward to it's just so many different voices. And again, the criteria is just, people that's willing to put in quality work. I don't care what your viewpoint is. You can be a Black Republican. That makes no difference to me whatsoever. I mean, as long as there's a certain level of quality to it, and, it's something that, the community can get something out of it. I'm a big fan of edutainment. I'm a big fan of that. And so if you know someone who's doing a podcast, or maybe you're doing a podcast, you got a podcast idea, shoot me a message via DM. Let's connect. I'll reach out today, and maybe we can work together. Never know. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Got more too. Like during the end of the week, let's say Thursday, Friday, got another podcaster with a brand new podcast that'll be dropping on actually Mother's Day. On Mother's Day, I'll be dropping a brand new podcast on Mother's Day. And this individual is, if you live in the Cincinnati area, a very familiar name. If you grew up in Cincinnati and listen to Cincinnati Talk Radio, this individual, in my opinion, was iconic in local Cincinnati radio. So I'm very, very excited about working with this individual as well. And I'm hoping that we can do the same thing we just did with Christian here on either Thursday or Friday. I got to confirm to make sure, to talk about the upcoming podcast. That's going to be the first episode with CDM is going to be on Mother's Day. I know you're thinking Mother's Day, but we got the whole thing planned out with the first show. So look forward to that. And again, depending on your age range, I think your demographic, it's definitely someone you probably grew up listening to. I'll put it like that. So we continue. I ain't going nowhere. My roots are deep in Cincinnati. I ain't going nowhere. We don't stop. A man who never gives up. You just can't beat that guy. I don't give up. We will not stop until we reach our goals. I can see the finish line. It's off in the distance. It's like a little dot, but it's getting closer and closer every day. We deserve independent media, and I'm 100% about amplifying Black voices 100% every day. And sometime in the near future, people look up and they'll be like, what the hell is this? I guarantee you, just keep watching. You heard it here first. But listen, as I said before, this is a media platform, and we offer space on this podcast and all the podcasts to advertise. You could have a business, or let's say you've got an event coming up, or it might be a political campaign. And as it relates to political campaigns, they are not in personal endorsements of the host. Okay. When you see ads, political ads on various podcasts with CDM, that is not a personal endorsement. We are a media platform. Now, I know podcasting is much more personal than, say, traditional terrestrial legacy media. So I want to make sure people understand that I personally am not endorsing any candidates. I remain neutral in that respect, because I want you to make your decision for yourself. But I want to make sure you know that We are going to run an ad for Profit for Mayor. Check this out, and we'll catch up on the other side.
Hello, I'm Mr. Same Old. I'm running for mayor.
Hold up. Haven't you run for a bunch of offices always promising change but doing nothing?
Yeah, but
nothing. I'm not voting for the same old politicians to clean up City Hall and create change. We need to vote Profit for mayor. He will be bold, courageous, fair, and stop corruption at City Hall. I'm voting for Profit. Profit for people.
I'm Raphael Profit, and I'm asking for your vote, as I will do what is right, what is just, and what is fair. Paid for by Profit for Mayor, Dwight Crawford, Treasurer.
hello, I'm Mr. Same Old. I'm running for mayor.
Hold up. Haven't you run for a bunch of offices always promising change but doing nothing?
Yeah, but
nothing. I'm not voting for the same old politicians to clean up City Hall and create change. We need to vote Profit for mayor. He will be bold, courageous, fair, and stop corruption at City Hall. I'm voting for Profit. Profit for people.
I'm Raphael Profit, and I'm asking for your vote, as I will do what is right, what is just, and what is fair. Paid for by Profit for Mayor, Dwight Crawford, Treasurer.
All right. Good morning, everybody. It's the Nathan Ivey Show. As I said, if you're interested in ad placement on this podcast or any CDM podcast, you can simply hit me with a direct message. I'm highly accessible, and I will respond to you today. The rates are very reasonable. The reach is very real. It's very real. You real reach people, no doubt about it. Good morning to you. But again, those are not personal endorsements. I don't personally endorse anybody. I'll give you my straight opinion. You'll know how I feel about the candidates, but in terms of personal endorsements, I stay out of that lane. I let other people do that. This is media, and we're open to any and all, any and all. Unless you out there somebody that's super destructive for our community, then I don't want your money. We don't need that. All money is not good money. Simple as that. If you're destructive to my community, you're not going to use my platform to be more destructive to our community. It's not going to happen. That's me personally. But every podcaster makes those own decisions for themselves. Good morning to you. 513-873-7134. As I said, every podcaster with CDM, they make their own decision about political ad placements. Some may be more open to it or open to particular candidates than others are. We don't force anything on anybody on their particular shows, just so you know. So when you hear that's somebody, if you hear political ads within CDM on a podcast, that's because it's got the okay of the host, which I think is fair. People don't want to be associated with things that are at odds, strongly at odds with their own personal viewpoints. And again, I respect that as a creative person, or 100%. So just so you know. All right, let's get back to the conversation. I got a video I want to show you here. This is Dr. Umar Johnson. He was recently on the Breakfast Club. They do great work. Who doesn't like the Breakfast Club? They got the best interviews in the business, and they do great work. I see Jerica shared this 11 hours ago. I appreciate you, Sister Jerica. I don't know if I'm gonna play all of it, but Dr. Umar Johnson, they debated and DJ Envy. They got into a debate about the Ma'Khia Bryant situation, and it was good to see Dr. Umar Johnson. He's got a lot of controversy surrounding him about that FDMG, his school. I think it's FDMG. I think it is FDMG, Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey. Yeah, FDMG school. And I'll say it again. I wish the brother the best. I hope it works. I hope not works. I hope he opens the school and he's able to, do a lot of things with it and help a lot of people. And I love the idea of it. It seems like it's been dragging on and on, but I've never tried to open a school building from scratch. So I have no idea what it goes into. It might take several years. I don't know. I think I wish the best. There's been some videos that he's put out where he's like begging for money and talk about how people spend, millions of dollars on grits. And if he had that money, then he could do something else with it. And it makes me scratch my head. Like, you're begging too much, bruh. You're begging way too much. But that's just me. I've never contributed any money. Would I? I'm not against it. I just haven't. Hey, Kiki, thank you so much for the share. Thank you for the shares, everybody. Really appreciate it. But, since we've been having this conversation about Ma'Khia Bryant, and this is in our backyard, while we're not in Columbus, we are in Ohio. So anything that happens in Ohio as relates to Black folks, in particular, politics, the money, the economics. We talk about the economics and the money in Cincinnati. That applies to everybody. Or in Ohio, it applies to everybody, and we'll be talking about it. But these kind of issues in particular really touch home for us. And I think in an effort to keep the conversation going, I want to play a little bit of this. I want to play a little bit of this, and then I want you to tell me what you think. Some of y'all might agree, some of you might not agree. But, since we started this conversation, we need to finish it. And I suspect that we'll be talking about this until the end, and even afterward, as it relates to the Ma'Khia Bryant situation. I just saw a video of her that she put on TikTok some time ago. I mean, just seemed like my daughter. Seemed like my daughter doing TikTok videos, just being a happy 16-year-old. Could it be medium Buddha? Medium Buddha is like, if you got a teenager, she's like in a nonstop TikTok video all the time. Anybody got a teenager in their house? It's a nonstop TikTok video. She's always doing TikTok videos. And I don't mean she don't have a TikTok account, because I told her you can't get on social media unless you got a business that you're actually selling something and then you're using, then you can do it. So she's like, Dad, I want to get on TikTok. No. For what? What's your business plan? What are you selling? Nothing. Ain't no reason to get on there then. But she's always dancing, and my wife and I'll be sitting there. She'll come in and be doing like recreating a TikTok video right there in the living room. It's just the life that we live with a teenager. It is what it is. And my son, he gonna pick up right behind her and do the same damn thing. I can already see it. He came in here today when Christian was on. You didn't see it because Christian was up on the screen and nothing. You couldn't see me. He's dancing around. So, I guess that means we have two happy children, which is great. Because that's what we want. we want two overprivileged Cosby kids, and that's it. They're going to, do great things. Other than that, Daddy's not happy. But let me play this for you. This is Umar Johnson, and he gets a lot of respect, man. He gets a lot of respect. He gets a lot of attention, for rightly so. The Prince of Pan-Africanism. And I want to play this for you, and you tell me what you think. All right. So enough of this roll tape.
With the sister who got shot the 5 times.
Now let's talk about that. Ma'Khia Bryant in Ohio.
Ma'Khia Bryant.
Yeah.
They're claiming, and she the one who called the police. They're claiming that police had a right to shoot. Even coons, Negroes are running around saying, well, she had a knife. So that justifies her being killed? Because I work in school, Charlemagne. I have seen lunchroom aides with no police training, no bulletproof vests, no night-proof vests, no gun in their pocket. I have seen elderly black women and elderly black men take knives and other weapons out of the hands of students during lunchroom riots. So you mean to tell me that a 60, 70-year-old man can disarm a teenager in a lunchroom, but a trained armed police with a bulletproof vest can't get a knife out of the hand of a 16-year-old, but yet and still you have white males who are conducting mass murders all across this country almost every other week. We're getting a mass murder in America, and almost every one of these fully armed, fully violent, murderous white men were apprehended by the police without being shot and without losing their life. So explain to me how a white man with an AK-47 can be taken without a police officer firing a bullet after he done murdered 6, 7, 8 people, but a 16-year-old girl with a butter knife cannot be apprehended without a bullet being shot. That is nonsense. They killed her because they knew they would get away with it.
He says they killed her because they knew they would get away with it. And I'm wondering, what do you think about the examples that he's just made? What do you think about the examples that he just made? Dude, does that resonate as does that sound real and true to you? I mean, just think about it for a second. What do you think? He's like, you got mass murderers, and he's right about that. We see these white mass murderers who might have just killed half a dozen people, 3, 4, 5 people, more than that. They get arrested. No bruises, nothing. Is that an example of the systemic racism, that a lot of people believe that is in the hearts and mind, or that we're dealing with law enforcement in general? Or is there something else to it? He said that he's seen elderly black people disarm, take knives away from students in the lunchroom. Now, I'm not going to say the brother's wrong, because if that's what he say, that's what he say. That's what he said. I can't contradict what he just said. I wasn't there. I've never seen that before. I worked in the school for 5 years. I was in the lunchroom every day, lunchroom duty, right? Just another adult there. And not every day, I take that back, but a lot of days. I'm not gonna lie to you and say I was there every day because I wasn't, but a lot of days. You know, I was a part of the JOB. And I never saw that. Not to say it never happens, but I never saw that. Are those circumstances congruent? Is this fair to compare those two kind of situations in your opinion? Is Dr. Umar a part of the solution with that commentary, or is he a part of the problem with that commentary? I'm just spitballing. I want to know what you think. I'm far more interested in what you think than what I know what I think, but I want to know what you think about it. I don't know what you think. Does the brother have a point? Does the brother have a point? Let us continue.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, I must be a coon because I don't agree with you on this one, and I'm gonna tell you why. I do agree with you. I do agree with you. Those people that walk around with them assault rifles and those white boys that they run around that don't get shot, they should get shot immediately. You come out with a gun, should lay your ass down, not even a question asked.
Yes.
But this situation, my only thing is this. When the police pulled up, now you're talking to somebody whose father's a retired cop, right?
Yes, sir.
No, hold on a second. Now, DJ Envy just said something that number one, two things. I'm nobody's coon. I ain't nobody's coon. That's number one. I don't give a damn what anybody says, and you think you can say what you want to say, Dr. Umar Johnson. But because I have a disagreement with you, I'm nobody's coon. That's number one. But number two, I disagree with DJ Envy saying that if you come out with a gun, you should be laid down. I live in Ohio. Ohio is an open carry state. I have a constitutional right to have a gun on me. So this idea that if you got a gun in your hand, you should be laid down is dangerous to black people. I just feel like people when you in the media, they got a huge platform. Their platform is 1,000,000 times bigger than mine. I just feel like you got to be responsible with every word you say. You got so many people watching and listening, DJ Envy. Negative. I live in an open carry state. The police should not lay you down as soon as they see a gun. That is dangerous as a motherfucker. Just because I have a gun on me does not mean I'm a threat to anybody else. In Ohio, if I wanted to, I could get a firearm. I could take my weapon, put it in a holster, and go on a walk in Cincinnati if I want to. And I'm well within my legal rights. And if the police roll up on me and just start firing, they would be dead wrong. So we got to be careful. Every state is different. Maybe he's talking about something different or something like that. But negative, sir. No. I do not believe that if you got a weapon and the police roll up, they should automatically, you got a gun on you, you should automatically get laid down. Now, if I'm pointing my weapon at somebody and it seems as I'm about to fire, that's different. That's different. Let us continue.
When that cop pulled up, he doesn't know friend or foe. He doesn't know who called the police, right?
Okay.
He does not. It wasn't like a sign that said, "Hey, I called the police."
Understood.
They got a call. Hey, I'm getting jumped. Somebody has a weapon, right?
Okay.
Comes out that car. He put his hand out. First thing he says is, "You see that girl running towards the other girl with the knife up."
Okay.
Right. Police can use deadly weapon to two things: to defend himself and defend another person.
Okay.
He fired his firearm, stopping that girl from getting shot. Now, people could say 4 times, 5 times was a lot. That was a lot of shots. You could take that any which way you want, yes. But his whole thing was to disarm that girl. And at first, I was upset. Why the fuck they shooting that woman? But then I had to sit back and say, let's say that was my daughter sitting on the back of that car and somebody was coming at her aggressively with a knife. She wasn't defending herself. It wasn't like she was defending. She was coming aggressively for that other girl.
Well, she was defending herself, though, Envy. You can't do that. Right, I mean, they jumped her before and they came to her house, her property.
But at this point here, I'm telling you what the cop seen. The cop didn't see the fight.
Okay.
The cop only seen was the girl being aggressive to the other girl. That's all he seen.
Okay.
So at that point, if I'm the father and that's my daughter, I would want to make sure my daughter didn't get stabbed.
Okay.
And that was the only reason I said I understand why that cop did that.
But she shouldn't be dead. 4 times is excessive. There was other ways I think that cop could have intervened without killing that girl.
But that goes into training. Cops are trained to kill.
But let me give you a follow-up, Envy. Let me ask you.
Well, let me just say this. I mean, a lot of people saying that 4 times is excessive, and I don't know. We don't have the autopsy. For all we know, that the kill shot could have been the first one. For all we know, I don't know that. I mean, I think people are again, everybody's opinion is valid on this. I'm not trying to invalidate anybody's opinion because I don't have any more information than you do. I'm no investigator. I wasn't on the scene. I haven't looked at the autopsy report. I wouldn't know how to do an autopsy. So I'm working with the same information you are. So I only got one way to deliver my flow, and that's forceful. That's only know one way to do this. So, that strength you hear in my voice is just me. Okay. It doesn't mean that anybody who has a different opinion is wrong. I'm not trying to tell you that. I just want to have a conversation. Right. And for me, I think people are caught up with the wrong things. Like, it was 4 shots. Would it have been better if it was 3 or 2? I mean, I don't understand that part of it. I don't. But I do understand generally, primarily people's outraged about primarily black people unarmed, and she wasn't unarmed, but black people being killed at the hands of police. I do understand that. I do feel that. That's a very real thing. Let us continue.
Good question. Let me ask you a question. If you are the police,
correct.
DJ Envy is the police officer. You get out the car. You saw the exact same set of circumstances. Do you shoot her 5 times? Why or why not?
I'm not going to shoot her 5 times.
Why?
Honestly?
Yes.
Because this is my community and I know what happens in the community. I understand the fight.
In other words, you value her life.
Right, but I'm going to tell you why. And this is going to be a little different.
He took her life because he did not value it.
Right.
Let me ask you another question, Envy. If she was a white girl with that same knife, does she get shot 5 times?
If I'm a police officer?
Well, not you, with the white, going back to the white officer, if the girl with the knife was a white girl and that was a white neighborhood, does she get shot at all by that same cop?
Gun never even comes out.
I would hope so. If she's aggressive.
No, I didn't ask you what you hope. I didn't ask you what you hope.
I don't know. I'm not a psychic.
You know it wouldn't, Envy.
I don't know. I'm not a psychic.
Envy, you know it. You know she wouldn't.
Envy, you know she wouldn't have got shot if she was white.
I would hope so. If anybody is aggressively going at somebody with a knife,
so that's
hope that they
Envy.
Get shot.
So that's a fair time for me to jump in again to answer. And Envy got to grow a pair, man. God damn. Stand on your own 2 feet, black man. But you said it, you feel that way. It don't matter who asking you a question. I mean, that's how you feel. That's how you feel. So I want to answer that question. So what do I think? Like, if I was the police officer and I rolled up on that situation, would I have shot her? Was she shot 5 times or 4 times? Because that number seems to be growing there. And to be quite honest with you, I don't know. I don't really know. People say a lot of stuff about what they would do in the moment and do all this kind of stuff. I don't know. For me, I'm big on being consistent. And if that was the training and I'm responding to a knife on the scene, I may have had my gun out. I want to make sure I don't get stabbed. You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure that I have control of the situation when I roll up. I don't give a damn they black, white, Martian. It makes no difference because the edge of that knife don't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? It don't really matter. He said that if she was a white girl, would she be shot? And there seems to be a general consensus that I picked up from most black people. And they believe that if everybody was white in this situation, that he never would have had the gun out. He would have had a taser out. And again, I don't know. Dead is dead. A knife don't really care about what the color of your skin is when it starts to cut through that skin. I will say this, and I think that some black people forget this, and I'm here just to balance it out. That I've seen videos of white people getting shot unarmed. I've seen videos of homeless white people get slammed to the ground, get shot, autistic. There's so many cases. It just happens a whole lot more with black folks. They come in our neighborhoods on that super duper aggressive type stuff. So it's hard to say. And I think the fact that we even got to ask that question is sad as a mofo. It is super sad that it's like, we don't know. That's the saddest part about it. I would say that it depends on the officer in some cases, as we already know. Like, some officers might approach this differently than other officers. What we haven't heard from this is black officers. I haven't heard from any black officers on what they might do and how they might approach a situation like this. I haven't heard. I don't know. I think that's a very, very valuable thing. But I still think that people are trying to water down the situation to fit the way they want people to look at it, or to fit the way they look at it. We had a call for a second. They jumped off. Let me go back to the tape.
Yo, they got a video of a white guy stabbing a cop in the neck. The cop goes, I'm stabbed in the neck. He pulls out his gun, chases the guy, stops in the middle of the chase to pull out his taser to tase the white guy.
Absolutely.
Come on.
The point that I'm trying to
shot that guy immediately too.
And you said it yourself, Emmy. You said they're trained where they can shoot. They're not required to shoot. In other words, police are expected to exercise discretion like any other professional. He made a decision. And when you look at the video, I didn't hear him say stop. I didn't hear him say drop it. If I'm not mistaken.
He did do that. He did do that.
He did?
Yeah, he did.
Because I didn't see it or hear it.
He did.
But even if
And he said,
Dr.
and
Umar
she
Johnson
said,
here
"I'm gonna
spreading
stab the fuck out of
misinformation.
you." So like I'm saying.
So
in
why
that
you ain't shoot her
case-
in the leg?
In that case, you're right, but they're not trained to do that. Like it seems something. It's a bigger.
If she
than
was
just
white,
the officer.
she would not have been shot at all. So you can't blame it on the
No.
training, Envy. This was racism.
I posted a video.
I hear it. Listen, I'm black too. Look at me. I've been black in this country a whole long time. Until I die, I'm going to continue to have melanin in my skin. I can't change it. I wouldn't change it if I could. I love being black, love being me. But, I mean, it's amazing to me that the what ifs start with the actions of the police officer and not the actions of Ma'Khia Bryant. What if she had stopped when the boys rolled up? Dropped the knife or stopped the physical stuff or whatever was going on. What if she had did that? Would she have been shot? What if the adults involved in that situation acted like adults involved in that situation and then put everything out? Like I said, I can't see something like that happening with my daughter. Some people roll up, they want to fight my daughter. We ain't gonna sit in the house like we scared, because we not. But we also ain't stupid. We don't have to get into some unnecessary confrontation. It's unnecessary. You think I'm going to send my daughter out there, some girls going to show up, and she going to fight all of them by herself, and I'm out here kicking people in the face? No. No need for all of that. That's what the boys are for. You can see that's what you got doors and locks for. You sit inside. You let them know what it is. Like, y'all need to leave, before I call the boys on you. Y'all need to get on with it. I hear you, but we ain't doing all that. Y'all out of here. Y'all stay out there. We'll be inside looking through the window when the boys roll down on you. I'll let them deal with all of that. Make life easy. So what if when the cops rolled up, Ma'Khia Bryant, her stepfather, and the adults involved acknowledged the police officer and stopped wilding out? Would she have been shot? It feels like we far more comfortable with second guessing the actions of the white police officer than we are our own with the sister. I mean, if we're going to play the what if game, we got to play the what if game all the way around. I'll say this again. I've been saying it. When the boys roll up, everybody knows you stop with the nonsense. Because if you don't, whoever's doing the most nonsense, whoever visibly appears to be the biggest threat, that's who's going to get the attention. It don't matter who called the police. It don't matter who started it. It happens in domestic violence situations all the time. The person who called the police, right? Well, maybe that might be a bad example, but I'm just saying, I don't think that's the first time in the world where the persons that call the police end up being locked up, because when the police show up, you wilding out on the scene. And they like, ho, come here. Sit you in the police cruiser. We're going to figure this all out. Now you in the back of the police cruiser and you call the police. It happens. It's sad. And I don't know. I just feel like we might be doing a disservice when we just run off with the mouth before we really think it all the way through. But I mean, generally speaking, I have a favorable opinion of the brother right here.
Yesterday,
This was racism.
I posted a video yesterday of a white
Let me ask
man.
the question. If she didn't shoot her,
Uh-huh.
and that girl,
And then I've heard that people like, well, in this other case, he stabbed her in the neck and then they ain't even shoot him. That don't matter. It don't matter. These other cases where you see things, we talk about them. We compare them like, well, down in Texas, he killed 5 people and he was standing there with a machete and they just talked to him. That don't matter. It means nothing. Number one, you're talking about doing different law enforcement departments. They might have different rules of engagement slightly, although in some cases it might be big differences. It's a big difference between these different, police departments is the way that they interact with the public. One might, hell, in some cases, some got body cams, some don't have body cams, right? I mean, we all do that. I've done it. We all compare and contrast, but we got to be real here. I mean, some of these comparisons are a little bit unfair because we're talking about two different police departments, two different training regimens, two different protocols, two different rules of engagements, two different training officers, two different environments. It's not really the same. What somebody did in New Hampshire has nothing to do with what somebody did in California. Now, maybe what that means is maybe we need to have nationwide uniformity. That'd be nice. But then each individual state has rights, and you can make the laws particular to a particular state that they think they reflects their values. That's just the way it goes. But if you're just tuning in, Dr. Umar Johnson was on the Breakfast Club most recently. He talked about a lot of stuff, including the Ma'Khia Bryant shooting. And I got a clip. Shout out to Jerica. She posted in the friends page, and I thought it was super interesting. Just as we continue this conversation. Yeah, I know we've been talking about it, but it's still an issue. Everybody else is talking about it. So this isn't happening in our backyard. We have to talk about it as well. All right. So let me roll back. The tape is almost over with, and then I'll go straight to your comments.
Girl would have stabbed that girl and killed that girl. What would everybody would have said? The cop didn't do anything.
I'm going to argue that it would have been impossible for her to kill the girl because the police, who are athletically fit, could have engaged her in less than 5 seconds.
He could have tackled her. He could have tased her, hit her with rubber bullets.
She would have been stabbed by this. She was already emotional.
Look at the situation.
This is irresponsibility from Charlemagne. This is irresponsibility. He talking about he could have tackled her. Family. Unless you dealing with a family member or something like this, ain't nobody tackling nobody with no damn knife. You gonna tackle somebody with a knife. That sounds, that's some more of that TJ Hooker television type ish. In the real world, unless it's like a family member or something like that, like I said, fight happens at the family barbecue, your cousin's getting into it. Y'all really family, but family can sometimes go at it. Grandpa comes out with a knife. He got that switchblade that he got from the army. It's been in his back pocket for 40 years. The damn thing barely switches out. Now he got a switchblade out. Other than that, ain't nobody tackling nobody with no fucking knife. And just notice how quickly Dr. Umar Johnson dismisses the fact that, that Ma'Khia Bryant could have killed that chick in the pink. I know people see in the movies, people don't die from stab wounds. You can die from a stab wound. Believe it or not. I know we all focused on firearms, but believe it or not, family, your ass can be dead from a stab wound. You'll bleed out internally. If somebody cut an artery, your ass is done. You can get stabbed in your thigh and bleed out before EMS get there. We just act like being stabbed is no big deal because we've been so hyper-focused and conditioned about firearms that we think being stabbed, all you gotta do is put some Neosporin on it. No. And it don't even have to be on the surface appear to be a really bad stabbing. You can be dead from a stab wound, but people act like, it was just a knife. It's just a knife. What did OJ do with just a knife? I said it. People, because we so focused on firearms, we think that knives don't mean no difference. Ain't nothing but a knife. Nothing but a knife. Man, listen. They cut one of your arteries, you are dead. Here, you're going to bleed out in a very grisly way. You done. You done for. That's how fragile human life is. Just like that. You gone. And on the outside, it might seem like it's nothing but a little flesh wound, and you is done for. But we act like, They would have gave her, EMS was 15 minutes away. She would have survived it. Yeah, people, you can die from being stabbed very easily. But we so hyper focused on firearms that we don't even think that knives have any impact whatsoever. People get shanked in prison and die all the time. People die from knife wounds all the time. I mean, the fragility of the human body is really underplayed. It really is. I mean, you can lose your life just like that from a knife wound. And they just made, he was like, well, hey, I mean, he could have tackled her. We tackling people with knives? Okay. No. He could have got the rubber bullets out. He could have did all that stuff if he had enough time and space. Yeah, but again, we've already seen the video. I don't have to roll it back. Everybody can see it happened just like that in an instant. Just like that. When the boys roll up and they got the guns out, I would strongly suggest that you put the knife down. That's what I would suggest. You could take it or leave it. Take it or leave it, but we got to be more responsible. This is I heard a whole bunch of irresponsible shit in that video. A whole bunch is irresponsible. We are not teaching what we need to be being taught. We want to put the onus and responsibility all on the officer. No, that ain't smart. We got to be responsible for ourselves. I'll say it again. Boys roll up, gun is out. If you got a knife in your hand, drop that shit quickly. Period. I don't want to hear all this stuff about black and white. Drop the knife. Simple as that. Now, in these United States, you ain't got to have a knife in your hand. We already know that. There's many black folks and white folks too that got killed and didn't have anything in their hands. But we know for a fact that when you got a weapon in your hand, it's going to make it more likely. Period as that. We are not that was a very irresponsible conversation by Charlemagne the God. He was irresponsible as hell. And Dr. Umar Johnson was being irresponsible on some level as well, because we're not teaching the next 16-year-olds. We're not teaching folks what we need to be teaching them. Boys roll up, guns is drawn. They like, hey, pay attention to it. You ain't got to be no simp to pay attention to the man with the gun in his hand, the badge on his chest. That don't make you a simp. That don't make you a coon because you're paying attention to the man with a badge on his lapel and a gun in his hand pointed at you. That's called survival skills. Period. Stop making excuses, black people. It is what it is. Let's just deal with the real. It's very irresponsible on both of their parts. Now, I understand the point that was trying to make. I understand. Very irresponsible. So what's the moral of the story? So what am I supposed to teach my daughter in that situation? What I'm supposed to teach her is when the boys roll up, put the damn knife down. Period. Chill. Let them sort that shit out. Let them sort that out. Now, before the boys get there, you got to do what you got to do. I understand that. When the boys roll up, make sure you keep your eyes on them. Everybody in the world knows that. Everybody, except for Charlemagne the God and Dr. Umar Johnson. It's very irresponsible. That's just my humble opinion. I don't have to be right. I know many of y'all like, no, Nate, you wrong. Cool. That means we can have a good conversation. Ashley writes, good morning, Nathan and the Choppers. Good morning to you, Ashley. Sharp writes, good morning, Nathan and the Choppers. Pat writes, good morning. Politically Petty Show, morning, Nate and the Choppers. Brenda writes, happy Tuesday. Miss D writes, greetings. Drop Squad 52 writes, morning, Choppers. The first 100 days of President Biden. Any questions? Hashtag you ain't black or you're black, not Democrat. Okay. He ain't gonna drop that. Drop writes, I have a question. What's their plan on the Flint water crisis? Pardon me. And I'll still be black. Chocolate Go Wonder writes, good morning, Choppers. Good morning to you. Good morning, everybody. All right, let me go inside Facebook and YouTube. I know y'all getting wild in here. Good morning, everybody. Good morning to you, TNT. Man, there's so many things going on we got to talk about, not just this. Happy birthday to Carmelita. It's her birthday today. Happy birthday, Carmelita. Have a blessed day. Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. Anthony writes, I'm just speaking in the context of calling it a race issue. It very well could be a situation over punishment. Looking forward to the content, brother. Welcome to CDM. Lemmy writes, good morning. Brent writes, what? Two black men can have a difference of opinion and not taking it personal and not devolving into being told to go to hell? What a novel concept. Yeah. I mean, I don't. Oh, okay. You got a doctor appointment? Okay. Making sure you good. Okay. Getting shots today, huh? You ready for it? He said, Okay, that's great. I'm sorry, what'd you say? I love you too. He said, Daddy, I love you. Bye. What a beautiful thing to hear in the morning from your beautiful children and your beautiful wife is, I love you. What a beautiful thing. That's black love right there. I love you too, son. Yeah, I'm a touchy-feely dad. I'm one of them touchy-feely dads. I like to touch my kids and tell them how much I love them, give them their flowers right now. It's just how I am. Yeah, absolutely, Brent. You know, none of this is personal, man. I mean, like I said, everybody's opinion is valid, in my opinion. I really mean that. Absolutely. I'm sure we may disagree on a whole lot more than that. That would be boring as hell if everybody had the same opinion, right? That would be super boring. So all day, every day, man. I like divergent opinions. I like people that stand their ground and we can disagree, and I don't think nothing else of it. Jerome writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Danita writes, how can anyone call it a race issue with all the facts? In my opinion, that is a problem. We need all the facts in order to have a credible point for change. Jumping in and out there. And to this point, on the mentality and the temperament and the experience. My daughter's had. She's had.
Well as good people around the world. And yes, good morning, sir.
Good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Okay. You know, as I said, and I think when you have guests on and you ask the questions, and at least on they cannot hear the response. They hear you. I hear you loud and clear, but we cannot hear your flows. But the response of that guest to your question, we check out because some kind of tech up or have somebody look at. Your flows are very interesting this morning on the educational system and racism. This is nothing new to us as Black people. But your topic was dear to me because as a young man growing up in New Jersey, my mother taught us at home, reading, arithmetic, multiplication, everything across the board. So when we went to junior high school, sisters and brothers, I never forget the first day of class in junior high school. And I sat in the back. It was a mixture of white, Black, and Latino students, mostly white. And the teacher was asking various questions, and nobody raised their hands. And he was looking for a response. I knew the answer. I raised my hands, answered the question. He kept asking questions, and nobody was raising their hands. And I raised my hands and gave the answer. Oh, the bell rung, class was over. And as everybody was filing out, Mr. Walker, John, I want to ask you a question before you leave. And everybody's filing out, and I waited. And he said to me, I never forget, white Jewish teacher, said to me, oh, you're very studious, student. You're very on top of everything. You know, I'm going to talk to having you move to another class, a gifted class. And I kind of found it interesting, and I didn't think much of it, but I went home and told my mother. My mother said that's nice. She just didn't think much of it too. Next day I went to school, and yes, they put me in a gifted class. And it was a gifted class of retarded students. And I sat in the class for maybe a month.
What did you just say? What did you just say? A class,
it wasn't gifted. It was a class of handicapped, retarded students.
You're not supposed to use that word anymore.
Well, I don't see nothing wrong with it. Let's just be real about it. That's what they were in my class at that time. You may not like the tone and the title that I'm giving, but that's what I picked up in the class. For a whole month, It was a teacher in there, and he or she was just sitting there reading a book, wasn't paying us no mind, let us do whatever we want to do. And after a while, within a month, I went to my mother and told her, and my mother was outraged. She put on her coat, marched me to school, went in front of the principal. I sat in the hall. I don't know what my mother said, but the next day they put me back in the general class the way I was, but that's back or on the same level with my sister. So I had to play catch up, you know. It had an effect on me over the years and slowed my process down. Here we go. 30 years, 25 years later, and my younger sister, which was twins, my mother taught them the same way at home, you know, reading everything. So when my sisters went to school, they were on top of their game. And my mother called me. I was working at that time. I'd finished college, and my mother called me and said, "Home, I need to talk to you." I didn't know what it was. What it did is move my younger sisters, the class they was in, because of the topic that rocked the boat, because they want to keep their cozy child is doing at home with the superintendent and the students and what they're doing, and to give you that dribble and the history level. In my upcoming book, titled "The Chickens Have Come," about it, which will be out for an hour, and I'll be happy about the book and my life.
Talking, John, I was thinking, I want to know, did you hook up with your friend? That's what I was thinking.
Good time this past weekend and in Orlando. Nice area. If you ever, Nathan and I, if you get a chance, want to grab the family, jump on the plane, or if you don't want to drive plane, drive across and go to Orlando, Disney World. The area you may want to focus on is Orlando. It's called International Drive. That's where all the hotels and the restaurants and
all the
clubs.
mommies.
Yes, the mommies are walking around, but John from Florida was nice. Even though I had my shades on, I was looking.
Taking pictures.
So I had a good time. I had a very, very refreshing time. So, you know, in conclusion to your topic, it was dear to me as I was listening to you talk, because you gave me flashbacks of what I went through and my younger sisters went through. And, you know, education is a very important thing, and it's good for your kids, and it's good for parents to stay on top of what kids are doing, because you never know what's going on in those school systems, K through 12 and in college, because once they finish high school and college, they're not going to take it, these kids. You know, they're on top of their games. It's their world in college, because you and your wife have taught them the rights and wrongs and how to handle themselves. Once they get to college, you can back off and say, I raise you as a daughter, as a man. You know what you got to do. I expect you to do it. If you have a problem, you can always come and talk to me. That's no problem. But education is important, and the direction you take them from the time your wife births your son and daughter, the time you've directed them and lead them into high school and after high school is the direction that they'll go. I can end with this. Have a nice day.
Yeah, we'll try, John. Oh my God. Oh, Nate, why you got Nino Brown trying to advertise on your show? That's John from Princeton. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Nathan, it's Tracy. How are you today?
Hey, good morning, Tracy. I'm doing great. Welcome.
I wanted to speak on the tragedy of Micaiah. And I think that the biggest failure in it all was the adults that stood there. And I just feel like we have to get out of this, what do I want to call it, world star mentality, where, you know, we have to catch everything on video and, you know, be quick to upload the video for, you know, likes, clicks, shares, and validation. That it didn't even have to escalate to that point, because you had other adults who were there who could have intervened. Now, let me tell you something. If an adult comes to fight my child, and yes, I'm going to call her a child. She's 16 years old. I don't care what that cop saw. She's a child. She's 16. She's not an adult. And I put in the comments, you know, we're not going to call her an adult, because if some grown ass man came to molest her, we'd all be calling her a child. She is what she is. She hasn't crossed that threshold. But I would fight the adults. I would defend my child. You know, she could still be alive. But the question for me that still has not been answered, the other two cops that were on the scene first, what were they doing? I mean, the third cop rolls up and, you know, shouts his warning or whatever, and then he gets to blazing. But what were the other two cops doing? This could have been over before the third cop even got there. So there were a lot of people that failed her before that cop even showed up. And that's who I put most of the blame on because, you know, again, she was trying to defend herself. It was her or her sister who called 911. I heard that wasn't even the first day that those grown-ass women came up there to seek her out. But this could have been over with long before that day. So, you know, but we got to get out of this world star mentality and, you know, fights break out. All we want to do is stand around and watch and video because her life could have been saved. But again, there were adults on the scene who chose to do nothing. And that's my little 2 cents this morning.
All right. Thank you for the call. That's Tracy. She says the adults, what was the cops doing that was on the scene beforehand? I don't know where the cops were. I'm not sure. Did they arrive? Were they on the scene, but like in a different part? Did they just arrive right before the shooting took place? We'll figure all this out. It'll all come out. It'll all come out eventually. Right now, I don't know. I blame the adults. I'm telling you, it's the adults that be getting kids messed up. The adults acting like children, not taking control of the situation as adults, playing too many games, acting like a kid, you know, whipping stuff up. And earlier I played for you a clip of Dr. Umar Johnson. I always like his interviews, man, because he's got so many great sound bites. He gives you great sound bites, whether I agree or know anything about his school or not. And I think generally speaking, he's pro, positive for black folks at the end of the day. So, how upset can I be with him? I don't know what's up with the school. It don't really matter. It's a separate issue. But he went on the Breakfast Club and said a lot of things. He also said he thought that the cops should be charged with hate crimes. With a hate crime. And I thought, this could be a wonderful opportunity for us to just use that conversation as a soundboard for our conversation, to accentuate the conversation. And in some cases, to give us something to talk about. A lot of people respect Dr. Umar Johnson, and I understand why. The Prince of Pan-Africanism. Here's another clip, and when he talks about how he feels the police should be charged with a hate crime, I'm going to play this. I want you to tell me what you think. All right, let's roll tape.
5 cases, and the president still has not acted. The same president that told the Breakfast Club that if you black don't vote for me, you ain't black. Well, why haven't you done anything for black people yet, Joe Biden?
And don't forget about the George Floyd Policing Act.
Oh, that still hasn't passed yet.
Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. But you passing bills for everybody else, but nothing for black people. And part of this is our fault.
Now let's talk about that. Ma'Khia Bryant in Ohio.
Ma'Khia Bryant.
Yeah.
They're claiming.
Okay, now let's stop right there. Now, I know that Dr. Umar Johnson has changed, right? But for a long time, that brother is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that brother was not with voting. I think he's changed. But for a long time, he was out here one of these smart dumb cats talking about your vote don't matter. And then you're going to bring up the George Floyd Policing Act. You can't have it both ways. You can't be, and I don't believe in voting. It ain't going to change nothing. But then what has Biden done for me? You can't have it both ways, Dr. Umar Johnson. Same thing happened with Tariq Nasheed. For years, this very intelligent brother, he was a smart dumb cat when it came to voting. Run around here, your vote don't matter. I don't believe in this white man system. I ain't voting. But now when he started, was the FBA, right? They had their first conference last year. Now they talking about what? Agendas, policy. You can't have it both ways. To all the smart dumb cats out there. Your vote don't matter. Oh man, come on. They ain't gonna be doing no damn voting. This white man system. What's this vote? What has a vote ever got us? But now you're talking about how you gonna hold Biden accountable. You can't have it both ways. I'm glad to see both those brothers has come to the common sense side of things. That was one of my biggest critiques of both of those brothers. Super smart, out here on some anti-voting shit. You sound like a damn fool. I'm glad to see they matured over the years. I'm glad to see they matured over the years and realize your vote do matter. That's part of the problem is we're not collective, we're not unified enough when it comes to being a voting bloc to really push the policy angle. But that's what everybody's talking about right now, policy. You know what I'm saying? As it relates to police, what do you see people pushing for? Policy changes. That's how you hold them accountable. Candlelight vigils and all that kind of stuff. It's got its place, but it's the policy that's going to guide their actions. You cannot be a smart, dumb cat talking about, oh, I don't believe in voting, and you care about your community. You cannot. If you ain't voting intelligently, then you are a threat to your own community. It's just a waste. And I'm glad to see they on that, the real side of things now. All right, that makes sense. I'm glad to hear that. Let's go back.
Is she the one who called the police? Mm-hmm. They're claiming that the police had a right to shoot her. Even coons, Negroes are running around saying, well, she had a knife. So that justifies her being killed? Because I work in school, Charlemagne. I have seen lunchroom aid.
All right, now we've seen this part. We've seen this part. Okay, we ain't got to go all the way through that. Let me flash forward a little bit.
The civil suit payouts come did it for black people. Not a damn thing.
Let me ask, do you believe
justifiably to the police? What if we would have overran the Capitol for?
He's swinging the knife at the cop and everything. The cop never once reaches for his gun.
But take it to another level. Look at the Capitol riots.
Oh, yeah.
Was that January 6th?
January 6th, yeah.
A whole mob overran the governmental complex of the most powerful white government in the world. And the police almost didn't.
Got a point.
Black folks had done the same thing. We'd have been mowed down like dogs. Yeah. And check this out. Check this out.
And I'm glad he said that because we can't let America get away with that ish. He's so right about that. He is so right. Had that been Black Lives Matter activists who largely are peaceful, had they mobbed up and it appeared that they were going to flex, not actually do it, but just mobbed up outside the Capitol like we're going to overrun the barriers, it would have been a whole lot of dead people. Everybody know that. He 100% on that one. We can't let America forget that big double standard. We can't let America, man, the summer before that, there were images put out there. I remember Donnie B put it out there and she talked about her podcast. He put the images up of when Black Lives Matter came to the Capitol to peacefully protest, man. The police was out there like it was an alien invasion. They was linked up like it was an alien invasion. But when the largely white angry mob, and that's what it was a few sprinkled black folks in there, grabbed their pitchforks and torches and said, you know what, we're going to take over Congress. Where's Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, third in line to the presidency? That woman, they had all kind of stand down orders, and we didn't understand how difficult it was going to be, even though everybody else in the world knew that they was about to mob up and go to the Capitol because it was all over Facebook and social media. But somehow the most resourceful intelligence apparatus on the planet had no idea what was going to happen. Dr. Umar's right about that. That point should not be lost. That should not be lost.
They overran the Capitol because they lost an election. We are out here losing our lives every day unjustifiably to the police. What if we would have overran the Capitol for Breonna Taylor? What if we would have overran the Capitol for Sandra Bland or Tamir Rice? What they would have killed us. And speaking of Tamir Rice, his mother is asking President Biden to reopen her son's investigation. Joe Biden has not responded yet. You know what he's doing? The same thing Obama did for black people. Not a damn thing.
Again, to be fair, he's right about that. He's 100% right. She is in fact asking the Biden administration to reopen that case. Now, are they going to do it? They should. Why not? What do you have to lose? I have no problem with black people holding the Biden administration accountable at all. They should be held accountable because they wouldn't have, if it wasn't for black voters, they never would have got past South Carolina in the primary. Remember your recent history. Joe Biden was lagging. He was losing in the Democrat presidential primary. until a black man put his arm around him down in South Carolina, and he won South Carolina, and that's when his momentum started. Then he teamed up with Kamala Harris. We know about black voters in Georgia. There would be no Biden administration right now if not for black voters. I got no problem with black voters holding Biden accountable whatsoever. That we should be doing that. 100%, because they would not be in power if it wasn't for us. It wouldn't be there.
Do you believe there's any policy or legislation that will stop police executions of black people? Like, you think, like, if they implement the George Floyd Policing Act, will it stop the executions of black people?
That act, but my suspicions are it doesn't really have any teeth in it, because when I look at the act that Nancy Pelosi introduced, the police reform bill, right around the time that the George Floyd riots kicked off, it didn't have no teeth in it. First and foremost, the unjustified murder of a black person by a police officer should automatically be charged as a hate crime. Number one, it is a hate crime. These police killing us are committing hate crimes, and nobody is treating them like hate crimes. So the first change in the legislation is that it all has to be treated as a hate crime. Second change in the legislation is the payouts. The civil suit payouts come from the police officer's pension, and it comes from the police union, and it comes from the fraternal order of the police. Make them pay.
Now, that first part, he on some dumb shit right there, because my thing about that, if you're a Dr. Umar Johnson and you go on the Breakfast Club and you're going to make these profound statements and you're going to take these strong opinions, then you should be educated on the George Floyd Policing Act. When the question comes up, your answer, it's unacceptable for you to say, I don't really know. Then what are you talking about? That's the same thing that happened with Ice Cube. Ice Cube, because he's a celebrity, he jumped out there with a black agenda. You had a whole bunch of black folks like, we ain't never heard of a black agenda before. Ain't nobody been doing this. And they are wrong. It's plenty of people out there that had agendas way before Ice Cube that was in the streets, that have been interacting with black voters, taking a pulse of what black voters wanted, and had created agendas way before Ice Cube. The Congressional Black Caucus had an agenda that, if you looked at it, had already put forth a lot of ideas that Ice Cube came up with afterward that nobody knew about. You cannot be ignorant about what's already out there, but you want to get loud in front of cameras. That's ignorant. That's ignorant as hell. At the very least, you should educate yourself about what's already out there before you get out there with a microphone talking about ain't nobody ever did this before. I'm the first person to do it. You're not the first person to do it. You're not. That's not the first black agenda. Ice Cube was not the first person to come, not even within the last few years. And other people's agendas was far more comprehensive and far more a reflection of black voters because they did the work. But because Ice Cube had a bigger name, everybody like, we never heard this before. That just because you ignorant don't mean everybody else is. The same thing with that brother right there. You can't go I think it's ignorant to go on the Breakfast Club talking about making these big statements, which I love for entertainment purposes and also the purposes of the show. Obviously, I'm using it, but you don't know the details about the George Floyd Policing Act? Come on, bro. All you got to do is get on Wikipedia. You can get on Wikipedia as you driving in the Uber over to the Breakfast Club studios so that you know what you're talking about. Period. Now, the second part he said, you talking about qualified immunity and the police officers and the unions paying for it. That's some real ish right there, because everybody know when you hit them in the pockets, that's when people start paying attention. But let me go back to the phones here. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, comrades.
Good morning. Good morning. Black Russia.
Yes, sir. Please calm down. Please. You sound like the mad rapper. Hey, listen, but I agree with you though. You know, it's like the people who vote get mad at the non-voters because the non-voters get out here and talk like they know what's going on. And it just is irritating. It's really irritating. Like, if people are watching, Merrick Garland out here putting in work. I don't know about anybody else, but think about what he's doing. Merrick Garland got Justice Department looking into Minneapolis and Louisville, two major cities where they have a significant amount of African Americans, right? Then you got, you know, the federal government with the George Floyd Act, you know, getting, you know, scrutinized. But Dr. Umar Johnson out here talking about qualified immunity. I know people out here talking about that, but hey, some of this stuff is baby steps. You know, you can't get too extreme. And that's where you start losing people, especially when you don't know what you're talking about. And you out here talking about not voting. Yeah, Dr. Umar Johnson, I'm not a big fan. Like you can't be out here not voting and not knowing what you're talking about. Just because you got a platform. I turn you off. So just black folks, hey look, just watch what Barrett Garland's doing. He's out here making big chess moves on civil rights. And he ain't gotta be forced into that because he's the guy that prosecuted Timothy McVeigh. So people just need to chill and just do their own homework. Stop listening to these talking heads. Would you please read for yourself and go vote? Like I think Sarah asked something in the chat room and I found it to be very interesting. He said, how many African American men in the city of Cincinnati who live in the city proper have voted? And there's 2 black men out here running for mayor. And we sitting there out here listening to Dr. Umar Johnson, who don't vote. They don't even know what type of legislation is getting through Congress. It's crazy to me. Cats like that need to be muted in the black community instead of giving them a bigger platform on the effing Breakfast Club. It makes me mad. It irritates me. I like Charlamagne, but damn, why are we giving Umar Johnson any airtime? He don't vote. He don't know what he's talking about. Then what do you do, like a fake PhD type? Man, come on. We ain't got time for this. It's foolishness. He should get no airtime. Mute that dude. Black dudes in Cincinnati, would you go vote, please? I did it the first day. This primary is going to matter. You see all the political machines that said no to issue 3. Right? So, black men, if you for issue 3, what are you going to do about it? Personally, I voted no. But hey, I'm one of the anomalies that's out here voting as a black man here in the city of Cincinnati. And it's unfortunate. I'm just saying, hey, Sarah asked a very important thing. I'm like, man, y'all gotta go vote. Stop listening to Dr. Umar Johnson. That's the problem right there. Giving him airtime. Go vote. People should be out here Googling these dudes. Man, I'm seeing David Van signs popping up everywhere. I seen a commercial for him this morning. And he's running the same playbook. He'll mess around and finish second. And if he after that mess around, be David Mann. Because black folks ain't going to vote. And we'll have no representation, you know, at the table, at least in the general election. I think that matters this time around, given the climate of black folks getting shot dead in the streets. And Cecil Thomas has seen some of this. That's who I prefer, you know. But hey, I went to go vote. So all these other folks out here listening to Umar don't want to vote. John, Florida, I hope you're down there voting because I think the Saints is up for re-election in 2022. What are you going to do about it? You talk all this mess. When he come on, I mute him. He adds nothing to the culture when it comes to trying to make power moves. He talks about bullish. It's fluff. I get it. It's entertainment, bro. But some of this stuff is serious, bro. And you out here talking about, I don't vote. I don't. Come on, bro. You damn near 60 years old. You got to be smarter than me. But other than that, man, I just wanted to say that, bro. Like, man, Dr. Umar, it just makes me mad. It's infuriating that people actually give him a platform and he don't know what the hell he's talking about. He don't even vote. And we got an election going on right at this very moment in time. It don't matter if it's the fall. It ain't got to be presidential every year. Black folks got to make it a habit to go effing vote. Otherwise, all this other shit it's academic. It's just, we're playing around. I'll holler at you, bro.
Appreciate the call. That's Black Russia. I agree. On the voting tip, I agree. 100%. I'm seeing, okay, you said David Mann signs. I mean, I've seen them. I've seen signs for a lot of people. He says he's running the same playbook. He is running the same playbook. He is. And, I mean, people have to make their own decisions. I mean, they have to make their own decisions about it. I don't know. David Mann would be at the top of my personal list. I'll tell you that much. I just don't. Two things. Number one, it was what he showed us when he walked away from the people. He walked away from the people that day. I've heard nothing that would satisfy that or explain it. And I'm not sure if he's gone on with Lincoln or other black media, but if you can't make time for the choppers, or the podcasters here, because we do have a growing audience here in Cincinnati, then I can't make time for you. You know, that's just how I look at it. And the whole white-haired wig thing, the Amadeus wigs on black kids in campaign commercials, it's hard for me to understand that. It's really hard for me to understand that. I'm not saying that every idea that I've heard from David Mann is wrong. That would be lying if I said that. I'm not saying that, but it's just something I think we can do better. But that's just me. And I'll say it again. You know, if Cincinnati black voters came together and voted in this primary next week, and we'll see what happens, then that voting block would decide who the top 2 vote getters is by far. Just run away with it. But you got too many smart dumb cats out there, and that's part of it. And then the other part of it is, you know, people feel like it's going to be the same old. They're not really like super turned on by the prospects of change. So they feel like don't really matter. And it's very, very sad. Speaking of mayoral primary coming up again, this is a media platform, so we offer space for people in that spirit. But this is not a personal endorsement. I am not endorsing any candidates for any races, but we do have a space available for you to connect with potential voters or customers or whatever it may be. Very reasonable rates, and definitely a reach here in the community that's growing every single week. So if you're interested, please hit me with a DM and I'll respond today. But after this ad, we'll get straight back to your comments and questions and your phone calls.
Hello, I'm Mr. Same Old. I'm running for mayor.
Hold up. Haven't you run for a bunch of offices always promising change but doing nothing?
Yeah, but
nothing. I'm not voting for the same old politicians to clean up City Hall and create change. We need to vote Profit for mayor. He will be bold, courageous, fair, and stop corruption at City Hall. I'm voting for Profit. Profit for people.
I'm Raphael Prophet, and I'm asking for your vote, as I will do what is right, what is just, and what is fair. Paid for by Profit for Mayor, Dwight Crawford, Treasurer.
Good morning, everybody. How are you? Hope you're doing well. And thank you for spending some time with us this morning. Really appreciate it. You never know. Make sure you plug us in. Go ahead and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to us on the show on YouTube, Nathan Ivey on YouTube. You'll get an instant notification. Same thing on Facebook. You may or may not know this, but you can not only subscribe to our Facebook page, but you can subscribe to the video feed as well. So whenever a new video comes up, whether it's myself or any of the other podcasters, you'll get a notification that we're live. And supporting us is supporting you. You know, this is independent media, Black-owned independent media. We amplify Black voices in the greater Cincinnati area and beyond. And we're just getting started. What does Drop say? It's not how you start, it's how you finish. And I plan to finish very strongly. Very strongly. So if that's something you can get down with, I really appreciate you in advance. Shout out to all the people that share this podcast and share all of our shows here at CDM. I really appreciate you. And you know, I'm here with you every morning, 7:30 a.m. approximately to about 10 a.m. approximately. We go live for about 2.5 hours weekday. And if there are things that happen like breaking news, I'll go live as well to create a platform for us to talk about it and to share information as well, right here on Facebook and on YouTube and social media. So I appreciate you in advance for being here. Again, you could be anywhere in the World Wide Web. You could be anywhere. But you decided to be here with me, and I appreciate it. Now, let me get back to this. So before the call with Black Russia, and he was I agree with everything he said, man. I agree with almost everything he said. I was playing a little bit of a video for you of Dr. Umar Johnson's appearance on The Breakfast Club. They do great work. I really enjoy their show, and they do the best interviews that I see. And there's a lot of people now that's in that space, but they do a lot of really good interviews. And Dr. Umar Johnson is always good for some quotes, always. So check this out.
Because you can't tell me that you're going to make Black taxpayers pay, you understand, for the criminal behavior of police. How am I getting a victory if I'm the one who has to pay for his mistakes? Make the police pay and charge every murder as a hate crime, and I guarantee you they'll think twice before they start killing black folks.
Yeah, it said every murder as a hate crime. I think that might be difficult. I get this. I get what he's saying. I like the part in which he was like, I think he's talking about ending qualified immunity. I'm with that. I think that should have happened. Like a lot of smart, intelligent people on top of that. TNT writes, so why not shoot her on her pinky toe? What are we saying? Sarah writes, so many what ifs. Renee's in the house. She writes, he didn't tell her to drop the knife. He said, get down. Marie says, we know too many of us are afraid to speak up. Prime example, this law for attacking Asians is a federal law now. Funny how, black people continue to be attacked, but I did see how quickly that happened with Asian Americans. And I think everybody should be protected. I don't think anybody should be singled out because of their race or their sexuality or sexual orientation. I'm not for none of that. What I'm for is we're all American citizens and should be treated the same and protected and have the same access to the American dream. Go chase your dreams. That's what this country's all about. Dream chasers, man. Meek Mill. Go chase your dreams. And if you can make it happen, make it happen. Exactly, Nate. We can't act like it don't happen to whites just because it happens more to us. All this Hollywood sharpshooter crap need to go away. I don't expect an officer to be rolling around wrestling with somebody with a knife. If he does that, should be his decision to put his life on the line. Terrence writes, that's the problem with this situation and people making false comparison. Kiki writes, call them boys on you. Cass writes, so then the issue is training because we have seen cops whose lives are in imminent danger, not someone else but them, and they didn't use deadly force to stop someone. They made a split-second judgment call to avoid taking somebody's life. How do we not see that? Let me see. Kiki writes that part. That part, Mr. Ivy. Janice writes, unconscious bias is totally unconscious. People aren't even aware that they have any. Carefully watch and listen to your own daily responses. It will astound you. Through words, images, and conditioning, our system has indoctrinated all of us. Be aware. That's true. That's true. And again, when you think about, implicit bias, it's not just white folks, it's black folks too. Everybody has implicit bias. We all have it. It becomes a problem when people have certain authority, especially like disciplinary authority, and their implicit bias informs their decision. Let me see. Kiki writes, stop with comparing apples and oranges. Terrence writes, the laws of self-defense, possession of weapons, rules of engagement are all different. That's why all the guesses don't make sense. Tracy writes, how can we prove that Black lives don't matter if we don't compare cases? This is a nationwide systematic issue, not isolated cases. You won't find any department that says their cops have to fight you hand to hand if you have a knife. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, come on, man. We already know you got a knife in your hand. It's officer's choice. It depends on how that officer, they have a range of ways they might respond. We all know that. Let me see. Drop Rice check. Nate, check your Twitter message for Chicago cop body cam of shooting a black man with a knife. Let me see here. How much time I got? 5 minutes. Let me see. I might have enough time. Toys in the house. She writes, if the comparison unfair, how are we of the opinion that the officer followed Columbus police policy? Because the police chief said so? Has anyone? Well, I think it's fair to compare within the same department, Toy. I think where it gets unfair is when people are comparing the actions of officers that might be across the country with circumstances that are completely different. If you're talking about similar circumstances in the same department, that's when I think it's the most fair. But we all do it. We all say, and I've done it before too, like, well, look what they did in this case, right? But I'm aware of of how it's not consistent, but we all do it. But I'm just saying, if we're going to get down to the nitty gritty of it, we can't compare what happened to Columbus to what happened to George Floyd, or what happened to, an officer that one officer got stabbed. It's two different officers. It's two different police departments. I mean, hell, even in Ohio, the police departments got rules of engagements. that's different, widely different. In Cincinnati, we got a collaborative agreement that governs the rules of engagement. They don't have that in every city in Ohio. So what does that mean? That means that the officers are going to respond differently per their training. It's just different. I think we need to be systematic across the board, like a nationwide standard. That would make more sense to me, but I mean, I'm sure they'll get a lot of pushback from police departments and FOPs. Terrence writes, a knife at 3 feet from a subject is considered to be potentially a lethal encounter. Say it again, Terrence. People act like a knife ain't lethal. Dr. Umar, like, oh, he just would have been like, he wouldn't have gonna stab her. All you gotta do is tackle her. Okay. Okay, you say so. But people, we don't think that knives really kill people. Knives don't really kill people. They might wound you and you get stitched up. But people don't think that you can die from a knife wound. You can be stabbed in your thigh, hits that artery, and you could bleed out before EMS get there. Be dead and gone, just like that. Just like that. You can die from internal injuries. People from the outside look like, oh, okay, you'll be okay. Next thing you know, you dead in 4 minutes. You dead in 5 minutes. That is not a serious, that is a very serious situation. Somebody with a knife. That is not a game. I ain't playing with nobody with a knife. To stab someone is a lot of hate because you have to get close to do it. I agree. That's what I've heard anyway. I have enough trust and confidence in my training that I could potentially disarm someone with a knife, but of course it depends on the scenario. Curtis writes, what does stand your ground mean? Sarah writes, Nate, that girl was not thinking about that cop and her emotional rage and state of mind, but she should have been, Sarah. She should have been. Boys roll up with the guns drawn, pay attention to them. Nate dropping science. Oh boy, if I'm dropping science, I must be wrong. If Drop agrees with me, I must be wrong. Sorry. Well, that 16-year-old girl wasn't taught by her dad. Kiki Wright, put that knife down, then just sit on the ground. Just throw it. If she would have threw the knife down, it would have been no problems. See, then we would have had something to say. If she throwing the knife down, she ain't got no weapon in her hand. She don't appear to be no problem. He still shoots her. Okay, now I'm with you. But that's not what happened. Jack writes, how do you know how he raised her? Speaking to Renee Mack. Sarah writes, do you have any idea of the emotional trauma that foster children deal with? I do not. I've heard of it, though. I just hope they wouldn't shoot if the individual has retreated but is still holding the knife. Let me see. Ouch. Dave, be good, little Nate. Oh, you talking about him getting some shots today? Yeah, he got some things he been dealing with. Now he got to get his little shots. He'll be okay, though. That was beautiful to see. Fantastic, Mr. Ivy. Oh, yeah, he's a part of the show, man. He's a part of the show. I love it. I love it. Congrats on being the first gentleman of CCA, Nathan Ivy. First gentleman of CCA. I'm not sure what that means. Curtis writes, stand your ground is going to be rough for black folks. I can hear all the excuses coming from the police. Why they shot James 50 times. Although I agree with your commentary. Chastity's in the house. She writes, where can I get a copy of this case study? It is circulating. It's in the Friends page. Friends, like the Nathan Ivy Show page. Somebody posted in there. It's been circulating. And again, I'm going to reach out to some of the authors behind it and have them come on and talk about it in more detail and maybe get some folks from CPS to talk about some of the school board members. I know that they're aware of it. I don't say that cynically. I mean, I know that they are aware of those issues because they've been made aware of it by parents. They're aware of it. And I'm not saying that they don't care. I don't believe that that CPS and the school board are filled with people that don't care. I believe the opposite. I believe you do that work because you do care. Okay. But the question is, what can they do about it? And what can we help them do about it? Because we got to be willing to, as parents and community members, we got to be willing to roll our sleeves up and help them make a better school system. It can't just be all on them. It just can't be criticisms of them. It's got to be, we do this together. Let's see. JD's in the house. She writes, Kareem Moffitt, PhD for school board. I did see that Kareem is running, and I hope to talk to all the school board candidates and hopefully the incumbents. I know some of the incumbents don't like me no more. I don't give a damn, but I plan on reaching out to all of the folks, and hopefully we can get them on and talk about, why they're running. Jack writes, I agree, Nathan. Go read your child's school file. Some of the stuff in there They've never contacted you about CPS. You're right about that. And I've yet to do that with Medium Buddha, but I'm going to do that this year. I'm going to reach out. I got that from Dr. Umar Johnson, because when he talks about how to interact with your child's school, I think he's 100% on. And what he said is that, once a year or so, you should request to see your school, your child's school file. Not just on Schoology, but you want to see everything so that you can see what they're saying about your child, right? You want to know what the administrators and the teachers are saying to one another. What is their conversation about your child? Are there things in your child's school file that you're unaware of? Okay. And I'm with that at 100%. Sarah writes, the ACLU case study is public record. Jack writes, discouraging remarks as early as kindergarten. Kiki's out. She writes, peace, love, and light, loves. I have to make some phone calls. Thank you for being here. Black Russia's in the house. He writes, good morning, Alt Middle. Christian writes, whenever there's a police shooting, they should always ask, what about black on black violence? I've always argued if you can show me a situation where black on black crime leads to a police shooting, then I'll validate that stance. Otherwise, this is a false equivalence redirect of the issue of police violence. Well, I guess I have to stand down, shaking my head. Jack writes, too much of a fashion show at school, starting with principals and teachers, and the black teachers quick to suspend our black kids. Danita writes, generally drawing conclusions is short-sighted and ignorant. I don't think that study, are you talking about that study, Danita? I don't think that's generally drawing conclusions, but we'll find out. We'll find out. Braxton writes, Hamilton County Commissioner gets PPP loans in excess of $20,000. And I've seen that about Stephanie Dumas. I don't know. I assume everybody's doing everything honest until we get other information. Sarah writes, it's common sense, family. Who teaches your children? White women. Who are the administrators? White people. There is and always has been implicit bias and racial animus. Oh, yeah, it's real. Dee writes, hey, choppers, where can I get a layman's explanation of the issues on the ballot? I know that issue 3 is going to be debated. Cincinnati Enquirer is doing a virtual debate today. I think it's at 1:00 on their Facebook group. And if you're looking to get more information, they're going to have people come on and talk about both sides of it. I think it's going to be pretty dope. Nakia writes, it might be technical issues on your end, John. No. He's right about that. He's right. TNT writes, not retarded, right. He was so politically incorrect with that. It was not. I know some people was just, they couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle it when he was saying it. I'm surprised I don't see Jerica in here because she don't play no games with that. Oh, man. TNT writes, I'm still stuck on the retarded comment, right? Not good. Uh-oh. Ray writes, uh-oh, at Stephanie Dumas. Let me see. Cash writes, John out there cashing out his Social Security checks on them young girls. Now, why you bust him out there? Why you bust him out like that? Cashing his Social Security checks on them young girls. He might be. I don't know, man. That's his business. I walk that line in terms of hearing too much about it. You know what I'm saying? Mary writes, in my short career as a teacher, I found that when students acted out, yes, something was bothering them at home and they were dealing with problem kids shouldn't have. I like to see school support, not punish these children. I agree. In my short time working in a CPS building, that's what the conclusion I came to as well. You know, most of these kids, the majority of great kids, great parents. When kids come to the school, typically something at home ain't right, and they go to the school and they act out. That's typically what's happening. Black or white. Oh, man. And them kids can get to you too, man. To this day, I sometimes think about some of the students that I work with and I wonder where they are. Hope they're doing well. You know, because when you're working with young people, man, that touches you. At least me anyway. I'm a very emotional creature. Elizabeth writes, Congress passes bills, not the president. Tell them. Hey, listen, folks, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. If you missed the Community Connector podcast yesterday, it's worth your time. It is worth your time. Very much worth your time. Like Tiffany, she is 100% focused on wealth building. I think her wheelhouse is real estate in all its many different facets. So if you're someone looking to pick up tips on how to build wealth, if you're interested in how to make money in real estate, but she talks about all kinds of Bitcoins. And again, what I like and respect about Tiffany is she don't just talk about it. She is about it. These are things that she does in her own life. It's a part of her own personal wealth building strategy. So if that sounds like there's something you can get into, plus she talks to people that have amazing stories. You know, I'm producing yesterday. I had no idea about Ambria and her story. Her and her husband has built what appears to be a substantial business from scratch. And she was really dropping some dimes and some wisdom yesterday. And it's really, really worth your time. If you missed it, it's on our Facebook page. You can find Tiffany Daniels on her personal page as well and connect with her and check out the podcast. Really, really interesting. But thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. All right. I'll be back and hopefully better than ever tomorrow morning, bright and early, 7:30 a.m. approximately. We'll chop it up on everything that's going on. Okay. Have an excellent and tremendous Tuesday, and I'll catch up with you real soon. I'm Nate, and I'm out.